Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and this is the second in a series of videos from Heroes Con where I show off some of the books that I get signed and show you some of my experience with those artists. In the second one here, we're going to do John Romita Jr. And even though I plan to do most of these videos that are going to be coming up with all the artists that I met and got books signed by, most of the time it's going to be sequential. I'm going to start with day one and just kind of work my way through it. But with John Romita Jr., he was the second person that I got books signed by, Claremont being the first, and I hope you guys go back and watch the previous episode from Heroes Con where I met Chris Claremont and got a lot of books signed. In this video, it's going to be John Romita Jr., and he was the second person I got signed, like I said, but he was also the last person because I went to the greet and meet with him on Sunday night, and that was the last thing I did at the con. So what I've got here is most of the books that he signed. You already saw, if you watched the Claremont video, he already signed several X-Men books that he worked on with Chris Claremont. So I'm not going to show those books off again, but I will show you books that I got during the signing at the beginning of the week on Friday. And then the rest of the books are going to be the books that I got signed while I was there at the greet and meet. But before we do any of that, I want you to sit back, enjoy some of the footage and some of my interaction with Romita, and enjoy that footage, and then we'll come back and we'll do this show and tell.
So great job. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Let's go, sir.
Thanks, boss. I appreciate it.
Feel like this is second nature now, or are you always finding like little tricks?
It's become, I got it down in a pattern. It has to be 7 articles of the hard lines, and then I just do the concentric.
All right, everybody, if you're looking to get Craig.
That's right, my ears are already rattled. By the way, yes.
John,
How are you, boss?
how you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
My pleasure.
I've got pink if you want to do that.
It's up to you. It's your choice.
Let's do pink.
Oh my God, I'm blinding.
Yeah, I know, right? Chris did
I'll
pink.
get a tan.
Chris did pink. I figured I might as well go ahead and keep with it, at least on that one.
I agree.
Awesome. Thank you. And rest of them, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
You're the artist, right?
All right. That's what I hear.
So I am coming to the greet and meet on Sunday, so
Excellent.
I'll be able
On
to spend
Sunday.
a little
Okay, not
on
Saturday.
on Sunday.
All right.
So looking forward to that.
My pleasure. They're always good. It's a nice personal time.
Was last year the first year they started doing that here, or has it been a couple of years now?
Might have been the first one. It might have been the first one here last year. It was the first one for this show, I think. But we've done it a couple of times prior in other shows.
Other shows?
And it seems to be a nice. No, maybe I've done some before. I don't remember. But it's a nice little personal touch. I'm very happy with it, and people seem to enjoy it. The questions can be irreverent. They can be blue. It's fun, you know.
Now it's pretty cool. It'll be my first one, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oops, sorry.
Bless.
Do me a favor on this. Do silver or white if you can. I've actually got this signed from you a couple years ago, but it was in a dark blue, so it didn't pop.
All right.
So
Silver may not pop on this. Black would pop here. Red would pop.
red. I mean,
Would red be good for you here? Because it's red.
I let you pick as long as it pops out a little bit. I'm going to get Scott on there too. So. Or I could do white. I've got white.
White's
Want to do
not
white?
a bad idea.
All
White
right.
might do just right.
Oh yeah, that's throwing the ink pretty good, or the paint.
Yes. It's going to be wet for a couple of minutes.
Yep.
Here you go. Blow it.
Oh, I've got one down
You got
there.
your own? All right.
I brought my own. And the same one.
Oh, you want to do the same thing? Okay.
I learned this from one of the guys at CGC. One of the witnesses used to carry that around. I was like, oh, that's a great idea.
It is a great idea.
He said you get some of these foils that got the metallic ink, and it's 15 minutes to dry.
Yep. That's the truth. Oh my God. I thought we were supposed to not objectify women anymore.
We got to sell
Looks
comics,
like
right?
something out of the 70s Playboy centerfold. What happened? I can't sign it.
Yeah.
I'm just reading it.
Oh, sure, okay.
That's funny. And I went through a period where they said you cannot do any more gigantic-breasted women. Okay, I understand that. Let's not get carried. And look, we're back to it. Oh my gosh.
Only that mandate's over.
Social media tomorrow. Romita complains about boobs. Watch.
I used to say Gina Little Bridget, but she's 90 now, so I didn't want to even bring her name into this. I'm late, not him. He was dragging me out. And there's a prize at the end of this. Whoever's the nicest person gets to get blown. Do not record that. All right, who's up first? No, I thought maybe we knew which name it was.
You want to witness as well?
Please choose. That's nice of you to say that. Working on it because of the story and looking at the brain.
Yes, come on, give Daddy a kiss.
Yes, give him a kiss.
Now don't snarl.
Give
I
him a
need to
kiss.
know. I need to know.
Give him a kiss. Sasha.
She's all nervous. Don't worry.
now, and it's son.
Well, I got a black shirt on.
Sasha?
Here, do you want to get a little closer? This is not a small animal.
Awesome.
Okay, here, I'll give you a countdown. 3, 2, 1. And then I'll do
This is a blackmail photograph, so I'm in deep shit when I go home.
Okay, and I'll do another 3, 2, 1.
You want color on this as well?
Thank you.
John,
You up next?
I'm up next. How you doing, brother?
My pleasure. Doing very well, thank you. Having a great time.
I think first time I ever got to meet you was in Baltimore. Your dad was there
How
too.
long ago was that?
Late first 2000s,
I would say
8, 9,
yeah, I
somewhere in
would
it.
say 15, 20
What-
years ago.
Was it because of the Ringo Awards or something? Was it?
I don't know. I don't remember. It's a good question. It's a very good question. I don't remember.
Can do red on there?
Yes, I can.
Okay. They
Well,
should.
my brother lives in Baltimore.
Oh,
and
really?
I think we did that for the purpose of being able to see family. And I don't know why we haven't gone back. Maybe timing hasn't worked out. I don't know. It hasn't been schedule-wise possible.
It's a great.
What time of year is it?
This year it's going to be around October 19th.
Yeah, we've been going to Italy for Luca.
Yeah.
That same time.
And I'll switch off that.
Oh, okay.
that- whatever black, probably on the rest. Whatever you want on the rest of these, maybe white on one of them. But
You got it.
yeah, I got to meet your dad. I got to meet you. It was the first time that they had. You were around the corner, like you were at this spot here,
Right.
and they wrapped it around, went down the next aisle, diagonally across, and they didn't have any helpers doing
Oh, okay.
anything.
Oh my goodness.
And everybody's freaking out because they're watching the aisles. Like, no, it's back here. And
That's right. I'm now starting to remember it.
but I think at the same time Joe Kubert showed up
Yes, it
because he was there. Because he wasn't there. He was not. He didn't come to the show. He came there. It must have been for the words because I know he wasn't a guest.
Okay.
But he did show up there.
But Romita Senior was there that time with me.
Yeah, your dad was there.
That's
and
why
everything.
that line was like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right. I think we've got everything. Let me make sure. Yeah, I don't want to make sure those are okay. Can I get a photo?
Thank you. This goes to Josh.
Go to a little cafe, and you're sitting there, and he's doing sketches, and this statuesque lady comes over as the waitress. An aspiring actress, aspiring model. It looked like somebody painted her, just breathtaking. While I was doing the sketch, he says, screw Pam Grier. And he starts to sketch this waitress. She looked like a perfect runway model, voluptuous, more than gigantic head of hair, magnificent. And that was Captain Marvel. That was the character. We did it together. He did 5 sketches for her. She didn't know it, because she probably will sue us at this point. But he says, wow, this is amazing. And he drew her. I wish I could find those sketches. They're probably in a box somewhere. And that became Captain Marvel. That's I don't know what she looks like now, but I'm sure she's magnificent. But Pam Grier, I always wanted to go back and tell her, you were this close. As I saw fit. And we did the first 64 pages. Well, first of all, it was a treatment for film, originally. It was a film, not a TV series, a film treatment. And he said, we haven't gotten it going. He says, so let's turn it into a graphic novel series and we'll see what happens after that. Ironically, it was 20 years later, but he said, let's go with this. And he gives me 64 pages, but he gave me very little plot to work with, as much as 64 pages. So I'm working on it, and he contacts me, says between 17 and 18, I'm going to add a couple of pages. And it ends up being 88 pages in between page 17 because there was so much 144-page graphic novel series, and it was a film. It was a stop-action film. That's because of Frank. He gave me the leverage to play with it as I saw fit, and then I got everything fixed by Al Williamson. It was knocked down, drag out perfection. I am, to this day, if I had to choose, I would say that's my best work.
Can I ask one more question? The Black Vigilante, was that Brother Frank's idea or was that your idea? Let's go. Thank you, Brother John.
Thank you, boss.
John, you brought up Al Williamson. Who's some of your other favorite inkers that you've worked with?
Anybody that can fix my crap. And believe me, Romita Sr. made everything so polished. While a guy like Al Williamson is more gritty, Klaus Janson is gritty, Son Hannah is polished. It depends on the project we're working on, but I've been very lucky to work with great artists, especially ink artists. And Al Williamson was a brilliant illustrator before he was an ink artist. Klaus Janson was a brilliant illustrator and painter. Same with Scott Hannah. I'm very fortunate. But if I had to choose one, Romita Sr.
Keep going up, and the quality, and I don't say like artistically,
I know where you're going.
right. What do you think is the do you think comics as a successful like show and business is kind of limited?
There's been that question for quite a while. Many generations of that. Whether it was in the 60s, whether it was in the 80s, whether it was in the 2000s. The stories. The company that runs the business has a way of adjusting. Whether it's merchandising or film. Now, film is an offer chance for the industry to expand and also
City Slicker.
I say improve the film industry. And take that with a grain of salt because there's been some bad crap.
Yeah.
But comics, because of the ideas, allow movies to be made. And you cannot lose comics because of that. And I have said this for as long as I can remember. If I owned a studio and I had to have a brain, I would have contacted every writer in the comics industry 30 years ago. Said, give me a year's worth of plots. Here's $1 million, and I'm going to turn each one of those monthly plots into a film. On the home stretch. Do not tell me there hasn't been at least 5 of those writers that were fantastic stories. Because Hollywood people had their heads in on it. And they thought they were greater than the ideas in comics. Thank God everything came up alongside it. Did I get everything? If you know a murder is going to happen in 2 weeks, would you kill that person in advance and be a murderer yourself? It's a great premise. So it's all over Los Angeles. It's got white-collar criminals, white-collar, blue-collar, it's got gang members. And I had to get a reference on a bunch of Latino gang members. And I filled up a whole cartridge and a section of paper on my copy machine on Latino gangs. And Mark's from Scotland. What does he know? But the imagery is much like the Black Panther. All of that cultural stuff with fantastic imagery. Same thing with the Latino gangs. Not so elegant as that, but you have to draw for an hour just to get a face with tattoos. So to be accurate, it was all of this and all here. And you'll see this fight sequence in it. And if you don't do reference on it, if you don't see that difference, you can't draw this. You can't. And these two goblins, I should say, they're worse than that. They attack Sam because he comes in to try and stop them from killing a kid, and they almost kill him and he kills them. But you have to be accurate. And that's the best thing about New York, the best thing about art, big cities. Well, this is Los Angeles, same thing. If you don't do the reference, if you don't do your work, it looks like standard crap. You can't do it. I'm sorry, I know you're looking at your watch, I'm sorry. See a character called Typhoid Mary. And while I was on the phone with her, my ex-wife comes out of the bathroom dressed like Typhoid Mary. Exactly, gigantic hair, shoulder pads, and I mean legitimate shoulder pads. This is back in the 80s.
80s, yeah.
And the fishnet stockings, everything except the machetes, which were probably in the closet. True story. Yeah, so do I, that's cool. Now, Typhoid's got a couple of more redeeming qualities than my ex-wife, but that's kind of, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah, was she kind of, so did she like that at first, or?
I don't know if she ever found out about it.
Oh.
No, I make light of it, but the truth is that the way she was dressed was the way Typhoid Mary looks, except for the makeup down the face.
Yeah.
And that was because that was the style at the time, and with the gigantic hair and everything. Nothing new. That's the way women looked in the 80s.
All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed a lot of that footage that I shot with John Romita Jr., both on Friday morning when I got him to sign some books, and then at the greet and meet. It was a great time. It was a very nice experience. I wasn't sure how that was going to go. And what was really nice about that was, after a little bit, the awkwardness kind of just evaporated, and when you got to go up there and have your chance to sit down with him, it was very private. Even though people were watching, it ended up being a nice personal moment. And that was one of the things, that's why I shot and showed you that video, even though you don't see me or him in the video, but you do see him signing the books and you do hear our conversation. And one of the other things that was kind of cool was he was talking with the crowd throughout the whole thing too, while he was working and signing books for everybody. And I was able to ask him that question. That was my question when I asked him about, after he was talking about Al Williamson, what were some of the other inkers? That was my question to him at the greet and meet. So it was pretty cool. So I'm not going to show you the books that he signed, that Chris Claremont signed. You can watch that in the Claremont video. But I will show you the books I got signed at that signing on Sunday night, as well as a couple of books he did sign that day. Now, even this is not all of the books, because there are definitely some other books that will be coming up in future episodes, books that were signed by Greg Land, for example, by Joe Kelly. You will see more John Romita Jr. signatures throughout this, but I do want to show you these right here. So, a couple of the books that I did get signed were his Spider-Man #1. This is the last Spider-Man #1, not the new Joe Kelly #1. This is, of course, the Zeb Wells run. And I had gotten this signed by him when it first came out. But he had signed it. And Scott Hanna did the same thing with a really dark blue paint pen. And even though I've got that book graded, 9.8, it's in my PC. I love that book. It was a nice experience. In fact, it was one of the first books that I ever went through at a con and had somebody sign, and I had it witnessed, and got it graded and everything. But I just never was happy with the quality of the signature. So when he signed this one, I actually got 2 of them, by the way. And I did the same thing with Scott Hanna as well. I asked both of them to use a white one on here so their signatures would really jump out. And you see what's really nice about both of these? Full signature, John Romita Jr. It's not the JR. And that was super cool. And then Scott Hanna, and you will see some footage from Scott Hanna in a future episode as well. But these were 2 of the books that I got signed on that Friday morning there with Romita. Now, the rest of the books right here were some books. Now, these aren't necessarily big books. They do have some value, though, if you get them graded. And not every one of these in here are going to be graded, grading quality books. In fact, this Punisher Warzone, it was better than, well, I should say, if it was perfect in a 9.8, it would be pretty valuable with the signatures on there from him and Klaus Janson. But there's a little tick over here in this cardstock cover. I don't think I'm going to be able to correct that, so I'll probably just leave that as a raw. But this book will do pretty good signed because not only is John Romita Jr., this is World War Hulk number 5, the first appearance, I believe, is Scar, right? Or it's one of those keys. But David Finch also signed this book, as well as Klaus Janson, who did the inking for Romita on the inside. And I got 2 of those. And I'm not really going to get into the values on these books. Know that a lot of these books, not all of them, are done with CGC in mind. And they're not clean and pressed at this point. I will have to do all that. Send these books in for a witness verification from JSA. I'll have to go that route on every one of these. I just did not have time before the show began to actually have everything cleaned and pressed, have a witness there at the show take care of this and get it in CGC at that point. So all of this will be done in due time, and that includes not only these books, but some of those X-Men books that Claremont signed as well as a lot of the other artists that will be coming up in future episodes here. There's going to be a lot of CGC/JSA candidates in this collection of books I got signed at HeroesCon. Now, this one is probably not going to. It was a pickup I got from a local comic book shop. It had a Rick Remender. Is that how you say his name? He had already signed this book, and I picked it up for just a few dollars at that LCS. So I had Romita add his signature. This is the new Captain America #1. I'm not sure when this came out right now, but I'm looking on here and I realize I've already made a mistake because Jansen did the inks on this as well, and I completely flubbed that and I missed that part of it. So we'll definitely have to get Jansen at a future con on this book. And this one right here, I did get Jansen on a couple things. Those World War Hulks and Spider-Man. This is issue number 568, the variant of New Ways to Die. I wish I'd had a better copy of the color cover because I love that cover. I love the color on it as well, but it had some ticks, and if I wanted to get it graded, I wasn't going to be too happy with it. But Junior signed right there, and then Klaus Janson signed right up there on the black and white. I guess technically, he's called these the sketch variants, but I just call it the black and white variation on this. And this was one of the older Spider-Man books that I had him sign. This is issue number 230, that great Juggernaut issue right there. And Al Milgrom actually did the inks on the cover right here with Romita Jr. So I had both of them sign in red on this black and white, mostly black and white cover right there. And that's actually got a pretty good value. Again, I didn't look up the CGC values on these to be able to give you in this video. I'm not going to make that part of the presentation. Just know that most of these will have a significant bump because of these signatures on here once they're getting graded, especially if they're 9/8. This is the book I also picked up at that same LCS with that Captain America, was Avengers #1, The Heroic Age, and it was already signed by Michael Bendis right there. And Romita signed it up there. That red that was from my red paint pen. Didn't really pop quite as much, but it is right up there in the corner. And then I got 3 copies of Spider-Man 238, the facsimile, the first appearance, reprinting the first appearance of the Hobgoblin. And I've got 3 of these, and the whole idea behind all 3 of these was to get also, as you can see on here, Tom DeFalco up here at the top, who wrote this. But at HeroesCon, the idea was going to be able to get Jim Shooter as well. And from what I understand, Jim Shooter's health is really failing right now. And that was something that was buzzing around the con, and I heard that from multiple people. God bless him. I hope everything works out, and I hope to see Jim Shooter at some point. I would love him to sign these books, but this is small potatoes compared to somebody's life. So God bless him. I hope he does and recovers from everything that he's going through. But these last 10 here were all the books I got signed at that signing. But that wasn't the main reason. I mean, meeting John Romita and having a one-on-one was awesome, cool. It was a nice photo. You got to see the photo they took of me with him there. But also was a thing where you could get they had a print for you, 11 by 17 print. And it's a pencil sketch right here of Spider-Man on the wall, and you can see John Romita Jr. signed that as well. And this was the sketch that they were going to give away to one of the 60 people who went to both of the greet and meets. They had one on Saturday, they had one on Sunday. I went to the one on Sunday. It didn't matter which one, but they did a random number generator, and they had everybody's had a number. And one of the people from Saturday actually won the original sketch of this, and I think that's around probably a $1,500 to $2,000 sketch at this point. But that was cool. But the other thing one of the reasons you buy that is to get this. They did have a head sketch available for everybody, and I'd already put in a request for Spider-Man. They asked you to put in which character you want, so he had plenty of different characters that were there on the table, and he had done a ton of Spider-Man. And one of the things that was kind of neat was I was one of the early people in my group to go up there to get my book signed, but they had a stack of head sketches that John Romita Jr. had done. Of course, he had a lot of those available at his table at the beginning of the show on Friday. And I got to go for fairly early because he was doing a lot. I guess a lot of people chose the Spider-Man sketch. And I went through the stack and I found one I felt was very John Romita Jr.-like. And so I picked this one right here. And what's nice about these sketches is I've been seeing some of these from this character, from Spider-Man, and some of the other characters. I think he had Daredevil and Wolverine and Batman were some of the big ones. And Spider-Man sketches like this run on eBay somewhere between $250, maybe $275, maybe even $300 if it's a really, really good, I guess. But I know somebody took one of these and from Saturday, and they actually went to Scott Hanna, who has been traditionally John Romita Jr.'s main inker for a long time, and had him ink one of these sketches like this. And that's something to always consider as well. But this is pretty cool. If I had to do it all over again, I probably would have bought a couple of these packages instead of just buying one spot, because even though it works out about the same, the autographs at his table, $25 a pop. It's not cheap. But if you go to this greet and meet, you get 10 autographs. It's $250. That works out. But you also get the sketch, and that sketch is worth every bit of what you just paid. So if you sell one of these sketches, you basically can pay for your autographs at that point for free. So I may actually, next time I have a chance to do this, I may buy a couple of these spots like that. But guys, that is everything right here. Again, when I say it's everything, it's still going to be a few books that are going to sneak in with some of the other signings in the upcoming videos. I hope you will enjoy any of the upcoming videos I've got coming up. The next one's going to have some multiple artists in it, and not as many books I'm getting signed by them, but there will be still a lot of autographs. Just it will be a handful of these artists that will only have their single episodes. I know Jenny Frizzle will probably get her own episode, and so will Scotty Young. But just about everybody else, I'll put in small groups of 4 or 5, 6. We'll see how many books I actually got signed. Again, we're going to keep it sequential, day 1, day 2, day 3, and kind of just work through it. It makes it a lot easier to edit these videos, to be honest with you, when I show you those montages. But guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, definitely give me a like, slap that subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the episodes that I put out. Traditionally, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m. But right now, with all of these episodes coming out from HeroesCon, I might be putting out additional episodes throughout the week just so I can get these out there a little sooner and not drag this on. I could literally probably do these videos for the next month, and I don't want to drag out this HeroesCon for that long, so you probably get a few additional episodes along the way. Anyway, that's why you hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on when my show is premiering. Anyway, if you enjoyed all of this as well, definitely let me know by leaving me a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to know. And if you guys had went to HeroesCon, let me know about that. And if you met me, definitely leave me a comment in the comment section. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Hope you enjoyed everything. I will see you for the next episode. Just remember, every comic has a story.